Good morning. I'm just going to jump right into it because I've got the PCE data, and let's just do it. That way I'm not wasting your time because I'm already late. And let's get to it here. Let's clean it all off. What's that level? Isn't that precious? Right to that level. Isn't that precious? All right, let's go. Start over. I like when we start over. Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Miami. Am I left-handed? Yes, I'm left-handed. Get out of my head. But yeah, I'm left-handed. All the cool people are left-handed. All right, let's get to the numbers. Not that they matter. Today's going to be so much fun. They're a non-event. Personal income's through the roof, but recession. Imagine if you just did your own work and you didn't really look at what the news says. People are always fascinated when they find out that I don't even watch any of the channels. Sometimes I watch Bloomberg in the morning, but that's it. So you have personal income month over month through the roof. Personal spending's in line. The trade balance, I'll clean up my language. I won't say anything about it. I promise. But it's a disaster. Promise broken. All right. PCE month over month, 0.1. PCE year over year, 2.1. Year over year, 2.5. PMI, watch the PMI today. Please, sweet Jesus with the ads. And you're going to want to watch consumer sentiment. Best time to buy is when consumer sentiment is there. This is what they call soft data. If you've heard these words like soft data versus hard data, sentiment is soft data. Bostic will speak because it's been 24 hours since he spoke about the economy. But overall, the way that I look at it is you're in line. So who cares? And none of it really matters anyway. Not right now. It really doesn't matter. It truly just doesn't matter. And we'll go from there. What's up, Steven? So I think people are just over it. I think he's just, there's no other way to say it. I said it today, and I don't care how you voted or who you voted for, but I mean, the past weekend, he just really neutered himself. With the tariffs on, they're on for the weekend, and now they're off again. So we don't really have to worry about it as much anymore. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. Like, you just don't. I'm going to have to get more coffee here. Give me 1 second, get my coffee. So whether or not it's not a function of him, you know, or I don't really care how people vote or what they think of him. I truly don't, because I mean, no one's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Certainly no politician's going to save me. I know that. But I think that you have to look at it and go like, man, like you can't be doing this. You can't be putting tariffs on and then taking them off in 24. Like, it's just ridiculous. No one's going to take you seriously. And I think that was a really huge mistake, an enormous mistake on the EU, because he completely lessened his position. And it's important to get that from a stock standpoint. And I'm going to explain why I'm bringing it up. Because what it means is that his weight on that has nothing to do with anything anymore. Like, people are just not going to pay attention. There's your 50% line. You're already over it. Say you came right to that 50. So who's in charge right now, buyers or sellers? Buyers, yay. And then what you would just do is just watch that undercut here. Because if you undercut there, then the sellers might be in charge, and then you want to watch that low. But you need to kind of look at this and just go, okay, you know, like, his waiting is just not going to have as much of a big deal. He might do something else so people pay attention to him today, but like it's just people are over it. You're not going to get this kind of stuff, this kind of movement ever again from him. You're just not. So he really used a lot of his political capital. I do think right now you're 6 months. You're going into June next week. His political capital. It's time. You've been in office 6 months. So now you own the economy. It's after 6 months. Even Bassett said it. We own this after 6 months. He was very clear about that. We own this economy now after 6 months. So I would imagine you start seeing some changes. From a technical standpoint, if you can't get above your level right here, this 809 level, you probably don't want to go near the market until that happens. That's kind of how I would view it. But I think the news is really a non-event. If I go here on the 5 and just mark this stuff off, and let's just start completely over, because I think there's some really cool levels here, and we'll go from there. I'm not a political analyst. I'm not going to get into it all. All I'm going to say to you is this. Which way are they ripping you down and then going? Like, what are they doing in the market? Like, if you just took a step back and you said, are they ripping it higher and then dropping you, or are they ripping it lower and then going higher? Like, if you were to look at that and just come up with a judgment on your own, right? What would you think? I would argue that they're ripping us down and then they're ripping it up, right? I had this, we had this trade, I think it was here on, was it last Thursday or was it this move? They ripped it down on us like really hard. And it just presented such a great opportunity to buy. It was like crazy, but they seem to be ripping it down. So I'd watch these levels like super carefully. I don't think you got this today. Like, I don't think you got a shot in the world of that. Like, but you're at 2.5% off of it. I think that you're going to see rotation today. The breadth is pretty weak, man. That's why I spent Thursday on the breadth for people today to look at it. I think you have to look at the individual trades now. Yesterday was one big trade, the unwind. I'm not sure that today's going to be like that, although you're going to have a lot of options expire today, a lot. And I would watch that. But from a short-term perspective, I think they're your real big levels that I would be paying attention to. You have some little micro levels in here that you could get into if you really wanted, like these little wicks that keep stopping down here. The undercut there, where you are here, here, and here. So I would watch this stuff, but it's a lot of what he does now is going to fall on deaf ears. So now you're back to the fundamentals and technicals of the market, and I think that's super important for people to get. I really do. Yeah, I don't know that you're going to get an all-day sell-off. I think you have a lot of options that are going to expire. And I see a lot of there's a lot of stuff that's already been really very lucrative to the market. Like, we'll get into a couple of the names in a moment here, but I want to mark these off because I haven't been doing it a lot lately. And you just want to watch these wicks and see if they fall in line anywhere. It's kind of crazy how they do, like how super technical we've been lately. Look at the breakouts. And again, I don't see any reason why you're going to get up here. We're not going to get world peace today. I mean, it's very clear that, I was talking to someone about this last night. You're 3% off that level, just to put it in perspective on how far off you are from Thursday's level. Like, you're really far off. By this time we were supposed to have world peace, and Russia, Ukraine's still there, Middle East is still there, tariff on, tariff off. Now we're embroiled in that. So, nothing, you're just getting to the point where it's like, okay, well, it's status quo. Nothing's changed. Let's get back to it. What's going on with earnings? What's going on with revenues? Like, that's where you're at, sadly. And, I really wish some of this stuff would wrap up, but it's just not. So this is what you're dealing with. And this is what you're going to be dealing with. And I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. So let's get back to the fundamentals and technicals and get rid of the noise. And nothing's changed in 6 months. Like, I keep going through it, but you really look at it. The only thing is you've had more uncertainty and destabilization. Whether that's on purpose or not, we can all argue that. But I think you have to look at this and go, what does this mean for us going forward? It means you're not going to be as data dependent. And I think that's a really important thing to get. Even this morning, it's important to get, because you have 10 o'clock, you have Michigan consumer sentiment coming out. You just might want to watch those levels. And you can see how you got right to that this morning on whatever new thing he said he was going to do. And how just nobody really cares anymore. That's the point of me saying this morning, just so you get it. Like, you can say whatever he wants. People are just like, whatever, man. You're going to change your mind in 5 minutes. Or you're going to say you cut a good deal, but nothing really happened. And people are they're really over it. And the market's over it, which is what we focus on here. And I think it's important to understand that. Where people are like, oh, geez, he's going to send out a tweet about something. Those days of him doing that and moving the way he has, it's pretty much over. If I'm going to look at the spies from this perspective, unless it's like really shocking, like we're putting troops somewhere. Other than that, no one's going to care what he says about tariffs anymore, because no one's like, you're just not going to believe it. 592.65, 590.69, and then I would just watch down here and how you act at these levels. You don't want to break that. Like the thing that you really don't want to do today is break that. You'd be hanging on here by your fingernails. And then realistically, if you're doing that, you could really fall apart today. But I don't know that you're going to get that. I think you have a lot of puts that were bought on this weekend on the market as a whole. And I think the reason for that was obviously NVIDIA's earnings. And you have a lot of puts that people have to close on NVIDIA today too. So that'll be pretty interesting to watch and see how that goes. We spent some time on that, just looking at the levels, but I think overall you're fine here. I mean, it was a really solid quarter. Stocks up on the quarter. You paid, the day before you paid 134, 135, you're at 138.5. I mean, you really, people will complain about it. But overall it was really good. And, you're going higher and the stock price is moving higher. So they're your core levels. It'd be hard to see how you're getting over that today. I mean, or going to have that, but you've been having these day 2 moves, as I like to call them. You just have this deep seek level up here, which you've tested and then rejected super hard off of. So you're kind of sitting in here right now in it. And I'm super curious how that's going to go. And I think it's going to be really interesting to watch the market today with this name, especially semis. I think it'll be super interesting. AVGO is obviously next week. And you're kind of sitting at this 50% line on yesterday's move, and you might want to watch those levels. This SBETs, they invented air, so that's good. And you can see my levels right here. But it is what it is. It's complete speculation. Like, no one really thinks this thing's worth $107, right? Like, everybody knows you're just trading numbers. Like, everybody gets that, hopefully. So, and we'll go from there. But let's get to some of these questions today because I have the time. What's up, Sammy? No, ANF I just own. I'm just going to buy it over the next couple of months. I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing with it. I'm getting 8 times next year's earnings on a company. I really don't care. Sell it down, keep selling it. I truly don't care. When I see stuff like this, I will build positions in it because it's just, first, whenever you have something like this, you get the hopers, right? Oh, I'm going to hold it. So the hopers and dreamers just got washed out. So that's day 2. So what I do with stuff like this is I'll just build the position over like 3 months. And this is how I do them. For like long-term trades, I watch where that is. My cost is in I think it's mid-90s on this. I don't even look at it, Sammy, to be honest with you. It's like I compartmentalize the way that I look at these trades. So for me, I need this thing to start lifting up or come down all the way before I'd even consider adding to it. And then I just pick at it over time. And I just want to be in it for next quarter's earnings, really. And I want to make sure that I'm up before next quarter's earnings, or then maybe I'll trim some of it. But yeah, this kind of stuff I like a lot. When you have really good earnings like this and people just don't get it and want to blow it out, I'm absolutely 100% fine with it. But it's a very different kind of trade than a day trade. Like it just makes zero sense that they would do this. So I'm fine with it. I did this with Lulu in here. That's funny. It's back to the same area where Lulu had earnings in here and like it fell apart and I'm buying it. I actually bought it in here too. And people are like, why are you buying this? It's falling apart. I'm just like, it'll catch. and people figure it out. But you have like the people that traded the options and everything, and you can see like here's earnings. This went from like 269 down to 247, and they were never going to make leggings again, and whatever. I think I wrote it up to here. I did not sell it here, and I should have. Because I got 3 taps, and the RSI was negative. I had a negative divergence on the RSI, and I still didn't do it because I'm like, no, you're going to push, you're going to gap fill. I was wrong, and I wound up blowing it out here. So I still made like 100 and 100 and something points on it, but I really wanted the gap fill, and I just didn't get what I wanted. You're in the same situation here. You just have to have patience. You're just going to have patience with it. And if that's not your kind of trade and you're trying to day trade this, you're going to get destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. It's like the people that are going to go out there and try and buy Alta today. Like, you're going to get destroyed if you don't have like a long-term outlook with it, right? You have to have a long-term outlook with it. So it is what it is. So that's kind of how I look at the ANF trade, or that's how I look at the ANF trade. Yeah, they're whacking it around in the room. I did it this morning. As of now, I have no position in it. So, but it was pretty easy trade this morning. I'll show you it. Hold on, I'll clean off my 1,000 levels. These are super easy. This is not rocket science. These kinds of trades work great. I'll show you here. Let me I want that level right there. But what you'll get from this, it's actually a little lower than that. It's actually a little lower than that. Hold on. See that control bar? You're right there. You see that inflection right here? There it is. So, see this? All right, cool. And that's 4 o'clock in the morning, right? See how you keep testing it? See how it gets tighter and tighter? Like in here, you're eating up supply, right? I don't need this. You're eating up supply, Sammy. So what you're doing is you're eating up supply over and over and over again. So see how you hit a level and then you get this long, nasty red bar, boo, and then it tries again, rallies, tries again, rallies. See how it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter in here, even though it's like super small. See how, right? It's not acting the same way when it gets to the same level. You're getting a different reaction. That's called eating up supply. So once that happens, it's going to go higher. You just don't know to where. So my target was this. I said, oh, you'll take out the highs. And so if you're in the community, you saw the post this morning. It doesn't matter, whatever. But then up, down, through, push, test, retest. It'll end. I mean, look, should this thing be at $4 or 400? Who cares? Who cares? It's 4 letters, 5 numbers. Who cares? Just trade it. And then you have to think about the stool, Sammy, with this kind of stuff. Like, what is this? Is this a macro trade? Is this they're going to fix the world? No, it's purely technical. You always want to think about like what leg of the stool you're leaning on, because that's the leg of the stool that you should focus on. You always go with the girl that you brought, right? All right, let's go. Oh, lesson in there. Yay, lessons. I actually like the ELF. I didn't know that it was the Beebs. I probably would have done this trade. I was too busy probably buying more NVIDIA. But I didn't know it was the Beebs, his wife. So I probably would have looked a little harder at this. But yeah, that you could go. You just said you're not 50% up on that bar. Today's day 2 on it, but they might just be really focused on Alta today. So, and you're already seeing that on Alta. You're already over, right, and rocking and rolling. So, you just might want to watch that and kind of go from there and see what it does. But we'll see what this crap does. Who knows? You don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it does. You're up so much. When you're up this much, you usually want to watch the first 15 minutes before you even act. There's rules on like the gaps. There's like super technical rules on the gaps. If you're up, I think it's 5%. It could be lower. I think it's like 4%. Like you don't even want to do an orb trade on it usually, unless you're like it's a 15-minute chart, and then do the 15-minute orb trade or like the half hour. Right. Like the higher up you are, the longer the time frame on the orb trade. So I don't know. There's people in the room that bought it. They're killing it. I didn't do it. Thank you. Please hit the like button. Yeah, I don't see any reason. I was laughing. I was like, God, like I keep looking at it going, I don't know, man. Keep selling it down. I'll just buy more. Like I really don't get it, but whatever. Keep selling it. RGC. I don't know what that is, buddy. What do you got for us? Oh, I'm not shorting that. It's got nightmare. I love myself. I'm not shorting that. Why would I short that? You short that. You're not the boss of me. I don't know why you would short. Why in God's name would you short that? And what are you going to do when it goes to 1400? Like, you don't know when that's going to stop, dude. You don't have a clue. Here, short this instead. This is easy. This is a super simple trade. Looking for something to do. And you can tell yourself that you love yourself if you short that. The other one, you don't love yourself. I actually don't. I don't see how AVGO has a bad quarter. I truly don't. I keep going through this in my head over and over again. I just don't see how they have a bad quarter. Amazon, I don't see any reason to get involved in long term here. There's just, you're in this wedge. So like what? Like why? I'm not saying that it doesn't work long term, but like you're in this wedge. They're all in the wedge. If you see them, like if you literally go to them, it's all one big trade. Here, watch. Well, I don't want to clean this off. But you see that Wednesday, May 14th level, like on Meta? Here's Tuesday. It's like one big trade that they're putting on, right? So, and this one can't figure out what the heck it's going to do when it grows up, but it's trying. Search is dead, man. I don't know what they're going to do. I wish they'd spin off YouTube. They won't, but I wish they would. I'd buy the heck out of that. No one cares about the inflation data. I'm waiting from the good luck, people. Thank you. Who cares what he tweets? I don't even care anymore. I'm so over it. If time defend, let's do defend. Yeah, I mean, I think that he's doing the exact opposite of what we all thought, where they're just going to spend more money. I don't think there's much more to say about it. Like they're going to spend $1 billion to build a golden, beautiful dome. So they went from we're going to cut the deficit to we're going to spend $1 trillion. So I would look at the individual names more so. And if I was going to play this, I'd be looking at something like this. But I think that this needs time still. I don't think you're there. I really don't think you're there yet for this. Who cares? I could really care less what he thinks they did. No one really cares what he thinks anymore. Like I don't mean that to be facetious. They just don't care. So, and what he's trying to do is just control the narrative again, and change the news cycle, and it's not going to work anymore. I trained myself to be ambidextrous. Yeah, I'm still trying to train myself to be left-handed. Good afternoon from Frankfurt. Left-handed. There you go. Chris knows what's up. All the cool kids are left-handed. I'm telling you. Happy Friday, Lisa. No, because everyone knows. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we all know that trade now because of what happened in August 5th, 2024, right? Like we all remember that day, I'm sure. But like we all know what happened that day. So like we already know it's there. So nobody, We all, like everybody that's been trading for the past 12 months knows the word Japan yen carry trade, right? Yeah, it's not an attack on him. That's my point. Like that's what I don't want people to think. Like I have no problem with what he's doing, but what he's doing is he's wasted his political capital. And the purpose of me bringing it up, Melissa, is the fact that like if you keep saying the same thing over and over and over again, and you keep lessening what you're doing, then it carries less weight. And I'm not saying that what he's doing is good or bad, but we have to view it from the lens of how does it affect the stock market. That's all I care about. And now his words for the stock market will carry less weight. That's just a fact. I don't really care if he tweets what he tweets anymore. So it just doesn't matter as much. It truly doesn't. You know, Nvidia's a beast, dude. Come on, from Abu Dhabi. No one cares about the inflation numbers. And no one cares what he tweets anymore. Until he tweets, we're putting troops somewhere. Nobody, I'm telling you, it's getting less and less and less. So like if you look at we got mean tweeted at what time? What time is the mean tweet? Like here's your mean tweet. Look what I can do, right? Okay, so go look at what mean tweet does. Mean tweet gets you 3 minutes of airtime now, 4 minutes of airtime, right? That's what mean tweet gets you. So everybody's already over it. Where before, if he said something like this, you'd be down, we'd be down 3%. What does he mean? Is he going to go back to the 145% tariff? Like, you know, it'd be one of these things where, and what's he going to do about it? Because you can't tariff them. So he's going to have to do something else, right? So what's that thing that he's going to have to do? Because you can't put more tariffs on. You're fighting in court now to keep the ones you have. I mean, he can do a bunch of other stuff. Don't get me wrong. He's got a tremendous amount of power, but everyone's like, okay, whatever. You know, it's like when I try to explain something in the community, like turn on something, but like, all right, 75 basis points, and you've already gained how much of it back? And he just, you gained half of it back, and he just came out and said, the China violated that whole treaty. That's how little people care right now about what he's treated. I mean, you have to look at it for what it is. BlackBerry. I don't view that as a breakout. Yeah, they said by June. Bassett said it's his by June. If you go back and listen to the tape. Nah, it won't tank. Not watching live. I'm left-handed and uncool. No, you're not, Stu. You just don't know how cool you are. I think you're a little ahead of yourself. I was looking at this yesterday. So I have some levels on, and I've already just gone right through those levels. So no. I think that you just kind of want to chill here on it, Cam. Like that's kind of where my head is. I could be wrong, but I think you want to chill on it. You're going to have a lot of calls that are going to expire on that stuff today. So let's see what happens with it. I like it long term. Don't get me wrong. I like it long term a lot. Like I think there's some really good names out there, but I really like this name. And you're right back to it. You're right back to that level. Like that's a core level right there. You can actually see the other level here. But these companies don't make money, man. Like there's no money here. And you're also talking to the guy that shorted this thing at $20 when Sam Altman left, and I didn't understand why he left, and now I get it. But whatever. I do think that you have to look at it and you had a huge move, man. You had a huge move. I'm not saying that if you want to be in it long term, not to do it. You want to do it. The question just is, do you have to do it right now? I don't think you do. I think you have some time. LEU, I like a lot. Marvel, I have no interest in that name, like, at all. I have pretty much every single news service that you could suggest. Like, I pay a lot of money for news services, like a lot. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask, unless you're willing to spend a lot of money on news services. But I spend a lot on them. I wouldn't go near the bond market yet. I don't think there's any reason to. I'm just going through these real quick. Yeah, I don't really like Reddit. Scares me a little bit now. I really have very little interest in it as much as I did, because they got to figure out how they're going to drive traffic to Reddit without Google search. That's the whole thing for me. And kind of go from there. LHX. Yeah, that one's on fire. I don't know what they're probably like big on the Golden Dome stuff, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. Man, you're all over the place with that thing. Jeez. It looks good. I don't know that I would chase it. This would bother me, Greg. The rejection of that control bar would bother me. You know, down, you can see it right here, right? Down, up 1, 2, 3, down, up 1, 2, 3, down, up, like, again. So wherever your seller is there, whoever's there at 248.20, that's their, that's the cat's pajamas for them to sell for whatever reason. I don't know. What you don't want to do is you definitely don't want to break that, man, right there. You definitely don't want them to go away. Then you have a problem. The top, whatever the top of that is, 241.70. You're pretty wedged in there, man. Say, actually, it's kind of interesting because the top of that versus that is where all this is. It's so interesting how that happens, isn't it? I wonder what the vol profile looks like on that if we went back to 24. Yeah, and see right in there. You gotta get over that. I'm a warlock. I'll take a warlock, sure. Plays the air guitar. I don't think it's bearish, Jake. I think it's kind of like, I don't know. I think the breath is bearish more than anything. Okay. Okay. Do they sell the data? Maybe that's how they're going to make their money. Maybe that's how they're going to make their money. But you can only sell the data for so long, right? And then you don't need the data anymore. I think that's why Meta is going to benefit so much. I actually thought that's why Apple just dropped the ball, because they had the whole ecosystem. But Meta, I think that's why they're going to benefit so much from this. But it'll be all over the place, it looks like. Well, we'll say. Oh, you're welcome. No, I think he's really done himself a huge, I think there's a huge disservice he's done himself here. And, you can start to see it where they're just like, oh, okay. Everyone's bad again. Like, people just over it. Like, oh, it's Friday. It's time to go after another country. Like, oh, great. We just went after China, or we went after UK, or who was it? EU last Friday. Now this Friday, it's China. So, I mean, instead of creating problems, start fixing things. Like, that's why people voted for you. So I'm just getting people. You can tell I'm frustrated with it. And I'm not saying that one would have been better than the other. It's not what I'm saying. But from our standpoint, from a trading standpoint, you have to look at this and go, he just said that the second largest country in the world per GDP violated their tariff agreement for this pause, and the market's down 30 basis points. That tells you everything that you need to know. I'd watch OptionX today. I'd watch the option expiration super, super close today on a lot of these names, specifically on names that had earnings. I'd really watch this with NVIDIA today and watch how this goes. Anything with options X on the week, I think you should pay attention to it and go from there. This thing with Tesla at 130 where they're going to like cheer for him, I guess, because of Doge and tell him how great he is and all that. And, you know, I don't really understand that either. But it seems to be a sell the news event, doesn't it? Which is kind of interesting. I'm surprised how this is acting on that news, you know, and maybe it's because it's been, I own this. I'm just surprised that it's down. Like, I think it's good that he's out, like get out, just go back to the company. But it seems to be a sell the news event, and you're breaking below the breakout bar, which is kind of not really where you want to be this morning. So I don't know. I think you want to watch this today and that 130 time frame. But it does seem to be a sell the news event, which is really interesting. So, and I'm kind of shocked by that. I'm not gonna lie. So it is what it is. Have a great weekend, everyone. Watch Saturday's video. I got the whole map out for it already. It's already mapped out. All right, trade to win. Yay.